Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how you can actually see how much stress there is in a material using something called birefringence. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to shine my blue laser through this crystal. Watch what it does to the beam. The calcite splits the beam into two different rays. These two beams coming out of the calcite actually have different polarizations. One is left polarized and one is right polarized. So let's see what these dots look like on the back wall here. So I'm going to test the polarization of each of these light rays by shining it through a polarizer. So they've split up enough in space that I can actually separate them and shine one through a polarizer and one not through a polarizer. So when I turn it like this, it completely blocks the light. But if I turn the polarizer, it lets the light through. So you can see that this dot is polarized in this direction. But if I slide it over to this dot, it lets the light through. So this dot is polarized in the opposite direction. So when the light gets split up into two different polarizations in this anisotropic material, we say that there's a fast beam and a slow beam. And what we mean by that is literally that the light in one beam is moving faster or slower than the other one. The slow light and the fast light are going to exit at different times. But because it's a continuous beam, we don't see them exiting at different times because it's just continuous. But what you actually see is that they're exiting at different points in their electromagnetic field. So if we just take the electric component of it, you can see that the fast beam exits about right here and the slow beam exits about right here. So they're a little bit out of phase with each other. Well, it turns out that depending on how you shine it through the crystal, the angle that you shine it through, you can get double refraction, that's where it splits up. Or you can just get birefringence where it doesn't split up, but it actually did split up the polarization of the light. And if I overlap the beams, they'd be completely out of phase with each other, but they still wouldn't destructively interfere with each other because they're different polarizations. But if I add another polarizer in there so that it lines up the polarization again, then the waves will completely overlap and they'll be in the same polarization now, so they'll destructively interfere with each other and we'll get no light. Actually, most plastics that we use are anisotropic as well, so birefringence occurs when you shine light on it. So that means if you take a plastic spoon like this and shine polarized light on it, so shine it through a polarizer, and then take another polarizer and look at the spoon, you're going to see light and dark patterns. For a calcite crystal like this, the anisotropic properties are set. But for a polymer like this, it's an amorphous crystal, so they're not exactly set in place. And they're long molecules that can be squished or stretched. So depending on how much you squish or stretch them, it'll change the relative refractive indices in the material. So for example, if I take my sodium vapor lamp, which is monochromatic, and I put this polarizer down here, just going to put a white paper over it to diffuse it a little bit. Put this polarizer here, and then one over it. You can see that when I stick my spoon in here, there are light and dark patches on it. So these light and dark patches are directly related to the stress of the material. You can see right at the tip here, there's a high stress location because of the non-uniformity of the black and white patches. When you have one polarizer, you don't see anything, but when you grab another one, then that's when you get the maximum birefringence. There's something in there that's making that a really high stress point, so that's going to be the weak point of the spoon. Now I'm using a monochromatic light source so that we just see light and dark patches. So you can see that the light and dark patches for blue light look different. They're at different locations. But for orange light, it looks like this. Blue, orange, blue, orange. You can still see that there's a stress point right there, but the light and dark patches are occurring at different locations. Then when we combine both of them together, you can see that it separates out the blue and the orange light. So you get to see these cool color patterns forming together. Now if we add even more frequencies of light together, then you get beautiful rainbow color patterns. So I'm going to put my polarizer down, then put my spoon on it. Now watch what it looks like. That is so cool. So now that we have all the frequencies of light here, the light and dark patches of each specific frequency end up at different locations, so you get these different additions and subtractions of all the different frequencies of light that make all the colors of the rainbow. But you can still see the stress location right at the top here. And the reason the colors change as I'm rotating the spoon here is because I'm changing the direction of polarization a little bit. So the light and dark patches change. I'm just going to move this up onto my lens so I don't have to hold it. So you can see how I get the colors to change on this bag here when I change the orientation of it or when I apply stress to it. So let me show you how I can show the stress in these safety glasses here. So right in the middle here, I'm going to bend them apart. Watch how the stress locations change. You can see the changing colors here. Look at those high stress points right in the middle. But when I release them, you don't see as many color changes. Here's a Petri dish. You can obviously see that right here, there's a high stress location. And what do we see right there if we look closely? That's actually the location in which they injection molded this. So that's the point where they were putting everything in that they had to snip off when they manufactured these. So that has a lot of stress there, and that's a weak point of the material. You can see that when I bent it, it broke in exactly that location. So this can give you an indication of where something is likely to fail without dissecting it or anything. So I wonder now if I bend this spoon, if that's the location where it's going to break. Let's see. Yeah, look, it all went to that one point right there. That's crazy. The exact location where it broke apart is the place that showed the highest stress right there. That is really cool that you could easily tell where it was going to break. So what researchers will do with this is actually make models of bridges and take some specific beam in it that they're wondering about, and then they'll apply an equivalent load to it and see where the stress locations are in that beam in real time. So it's a different way that you can look in real time to see how a specific beam is going to hold up under a load. Before we end, I'd like to thank Micro Center for sponsoring this video. If you watch my channel, I'm guessing you already love technology. Micro Center is one of the best locations for shopping for almost any technology needs you have. They have desktops, laptops, computer components, monitors, TVs, and even networking equipment. So let's say, for example, you want to build your own computer as opposed to just buying one out of the box. Well, you have to be really careful to make sure that everything's compatible and works well together. Well, you can use Micro Center's online PC builder tool to make sure that all of the parts that you buy are compatible and work well together. And if you're a little bit nervous to assemble it all together, you can just check the box marked Same Day Pro Assembly, and an expert will assemble your PC for you. This is really nice because it gives you the benefit of having a custom PC, but also lets you know that it's going to work in the end. You can check them out online or even go to one of their 25 locations across the US. Also, if you have any questions or just want to discuss technology with other people, you can check out Micro Center's online community, where you can ask questions and get suggestions for new technology needs. Right now, Micro Center is offering a free 128GB flash drive and a 128GB micro SD card if you click the link in my description. So check out Micro Center today. And thanks again for watching another episode of the Action Lab. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And check out Action Lab Shorts, which is the second channel I have where I do videos similar to this channel, but in much less time, in less than a minute. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.